Well, will you be fading the automotives today? Of course, labor strikes hitting the automotive industry hard with GM, Ford, Stellantis factories all affected here. We're going to take a watch at the price action. But as you guys see this was just a kind of a reporting as, of course, the deadline hit last night. Sean Fay, the UAW president, was saying that we demand fair agreement for economic and social justice. Income disparity is a problem, and workers deserve their fair share. The strike will continue until workers' needs are prioritized. The struggle isn't just about us, it's about the workers nationwide, and we will persist as long as necessary for fairness. And there were some mentions yesterday, of course. It seems like they were moving up in their offers. GM had offered up to 20% wage increases, and they had moved down to mid 30%. So, what I'm seeing out there is about 20 to 40%. Could they maybe meet at 30%? That's one thing that at least I would give on my outlook here.
Yeah, I think you're gonna meet probably lower than 30%. I think, what Philip Bowe is saying on CNBC, who's more connected than him, he thought it's gonna be in the mid-20s. I think that's where it's gonna be too. Remember, this is over 4 years too. It's not an instantaneous 25 or 30% raise. So it sounds better when you're saying over 4 years. But let's, like Mary Barr was just on CNBC. They're all frustrated. The CEOs are all frustrated. The companies are all frustrated because the UAW hasn't responded. They haven't
Yeah,
given an offer back.
that's
So,
it.
I mean, that is frustrating. Here, obviously there's been offers put like, well, give us something back on paper. Like, give us something. It's almost like this UAW president just wanted this historic strike under his belt.
Yep.
All three striking at the same time. I'm going to get this under my belt. I'm the best president ever. Like, it's almost like he needed to have this. And that's selfish on his part, in my opinion. I believe, if they could have negotiated, so maybe they start negotiating harder now that they're officially on strike, but he wanted the strike. He was
Yeah,
going
he
on
did.
strike. We
He
called it.
did, no matter what.
He wanted it. He needed it. I mean, so now that they're officially on strike, maybe they can actually start talking here because he's got the official strike. He's got the strike belt. So I think, there will be a deal here made. I think it'll be in the mid-20s. I think that the UAW demands will come down. Obviously, you hope it's not a prolonged strike where it's going to start affecting the suppliers and plasma. It's a great point. We're going to talk to suppliers here in a second. But it's now official. So GM and Ford are trading down, but not down much. And because everybody knew, we knew this. Another play off of this is Tesla trading higher. I did go
Yep.
long Tesla on the close. For the
Yep.
simple reason that I thought it would trade up here today. I've sold the stock now because it's up $2.50, and I feel like it's kind of priced in. But that was kind of an obvious trade. What about the suppliers? Plasma was asking. We could talk about the suppliers here because there is a number of those that obviously could be impacted if it's a prolonged strike. I mean, you got Lear and Magna. I mean, Magna's one of the biggest, so MGA. So we could look at a chart like that. Like, these haven't sold off much. I mean, they're still sitting up here. Like, what do you think, technically speaking, both of you technical
Well,
analysts? What
before
do you think on a
sport,
stock like MGA?
well, first, before we go to that, I
Sure.
just wanted to go to the sympathy plays, and we probably should have picked this up earlier. Mitch and I did talk about Tesla. Tesla is going to get benefit, but have you still got your Toyota,
I
Dennis? I
sold my
mean,
Toyota just recently. I just
uh,
sold it, and I should have held on to it thinking about this strike. I should have held on a little bit longer. I sold about a
yep.
week ago. 181,
Okay.
I think I sold it right in there because it's
Okay.
just moved a long ways. I picked it up at 140. It's moved to 180, 40 points. I was up 30% in 3 months. It felt like a pretty good move. So, I mean,
Okay.
3 month trade, make 30%, and it's not been a great trading environment, like investing environment. It's been a pretty good trading environment, not a great investing environment. I think it's been a good move. I do think now you're looking at Toyota. I think like these
Whew.
are like now it's like this is the froth. This is probably the time to actually sell it. So I was probably sold too early, but I always sell too early. That's what I do, man.
Look at Honda too. Honda's been revving up its engines as well too. That's had
Yeah,
a move from 30 to 36. I mean, I was listening to the Jim Farley, the Ford president, who also I think you got to like him. I think he was a really good. Someone told me a really good competitive swimmer. He was like, they put a historic deal on the table, and they didn't even get a phone call back. So,
Because he wanted the strike, man. He was not going to negotiate before the strike whatsoever. He needed this. I think it's completely selfish. It's just my opinion.
Is this
I'm not his head. I don't know, but I think he wanted that strike.
Does this also have to do with the way that how easy Teamsters and UPS had it, right? I mean, they got what they wanted. So I think that this has to do with that, right? Just seeing
Competition,
other
yeah.
labor negotiations
Yeah.
going so well for UPS. They're like, well, maybe we can get what we want if we just stand firm on our percentage.
And it is his job. So, I do say he wanted the historic strike, but it is his job, to your point, Mitch, to get the best deal possible. And he feels the best deal possible is by striking. So that's why they're doing it. Is he going to get the 46? I don't think so. 44, whatever he's asking. We know they would drop to the 30s. Is he going to get it up in the 30s? Maybe it stays strong enough, but I do think that these automotives companies here, I think demand is going to fall off a cliff for all of them. I do think interest rates are eventually going to hit home here. We had Ken Griffin on there. He made great points. Takes a year to a year and a half, he said, for interest rates to really do their work. Well, we're coming into that spot right now. And maybe we're wrong, but I think the big ticket stuff, the reason solar is epically disastrous, the reason, GM and Ford have sold off, it is because of the strike, but it's also because investors are predicting that auto demand is going to start to go down at least a little bit. We were at peak record profits. Same thing with the airlines, like they're coming off. It was like, Goldilocks, everybody's traveling. Who cares? We don't care. We're going to live for today. Well, you know what? It's tomorrow now. It's tomorrow. YOLO, it is tomorrow. And a lot of these people have actually spent their money. So, this is why the airlines are going down. And again, fuel prices are something to do with it too. They're blaming fuel prices. But I also think you're going to have demand issues here as well. Because you know what happens when the fuel prices go up? They got to raise the ticket prices. And that curtails demand too. So there's a lot of considerations here. But I think interest rates hit home in the automotives as well.